Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Allan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Q&A video, which I film every week, every Wednesday. You get to ask me whatever questions you want, and I do my best to try to answer them. This week we got some pretty great questions. We're going to be doing a lot of Archie-related characters in this video, but there's some rather great questions as well that not Archie-related, but we'll get into them right now. First comes from Average Lando. In terms of storytelling, between ASM, Batman, X-Men, Superman, which series has the most quality stories and best villains? In general, the better character development. So I would say it's really kind of depending on how you view character development and also how you kind of prefer the storytelling type. So for example, I would say it's between Spider-Man and Batman, personally. That's really personal. It's always subjective anyways. But I would say between Spider-Man and Batman. Now, Spider-Man and Batman both have awesome rogues galleries. So you can, like, pretty much anyone would know Spider-Man's rogue gallery. And pretty much the same applies to Batman. You know, everyone can say the Joker, Catwoman, the Riddler, Scarecrow, you know, and it just goes on, where you can think of those characters right off the bat. And most people can do that with Batman. The same applies to Spider-Man. With Superman, it's a little harder. Like, there are a bunch that we can think of, like Doomsday, Lex Luthor, you know, it's a harder to think about. And the reason I say that Superman kind of is weak in that respect is that his rogues gallery isn't as well known, and it's just, people just don't know Superman's rogue gallery. And the same applies to X-Men. The only X-Men that people can think of probably would be like things like maybe the Sentinels, maybe Magneto, and that'd be it. You know, there are a whole bunch, like X-Men, there's like so many characters involved. But in terms of, like, if you read the Silver Age books, and Batman, you'd read the Golden Age books, you would say, oh, they're very similar in terms of character development and in terms of storytelling, but a different style. Like, so Spider-Man is much more like a soap opera. If you read it, it's like, boy has troubles, and you think he solves those troubles, but he doesn't solve those troubles. And it just keeps on. It just never, Peter Parker never gets a break. It basically, what's his name? John Jonah Jameson always just is a foil to Spider-Man. He, you know, just when Spider-Man thinks, oh, I'm going to be the hero of the day, and, you know, then he sees the newspaper and it says, yeah, villain, we got to capture him. You know, it's like, give him a break. Whereas Batman, the character development is much more about him being a detective, much more about him kind of being a little bit one up on the villains that he's going up against. And how is Batman going to get out of these situations? And it's a much more complicated storytelling in that form. So it's really, which do you prefer, soap operas or crime drama? I don't know how to describe it. And with Batman, there is a lot of humor, actually. I found, especially in the Golden Age, there's a lot of humor, like more so in the Silver Age, but even in the Golden Age, I should say, there's a lot of humor involved. I love the way he deals with both Poison Ivy and Catwoman. He's got a kind of a sort of romantic thing. He kind of lets them get away a bit because he has a bit of a romantic thing going on there. And there's a lot of cool stuff happening with those characters, and the relationships between him and his rogue gallery is very interesting. I always think of the Lego movie, where you got the Batman Lego movie where Batman realizes that he really needs the Joker, and the Joker really realizes that he needs Batman. I feel like that really does sum up the relationship between Batman and the Joker. And Batman with the other characters that he's involved with, they're sort of reliant on each other, and so I enjoy both, is what I would say. And probably that's why both Batman and Spider-Man are the two most popular comics of all time. Superman, I would say, it would be a third on that, because I think a lot of people, the problem with Superman stories is it gets like, he's perfect. It's hard to deal with perfect. So there are some really great Superman stories though, but I think that's really where I'd leave it. I just say Batman and Spider-Man would be the two that really kind of check all the boxes. Okay. Next question comes from this, and this one I pulled out a ton of books for. This comes from Joe from Black Box Silver and Bronze. He wrote, "Can you list the first appearances of all the Archie characters and show off as any first appearances that you have?" Well, I'm a first appearance collector. So when I buy comics, I generally try to chase after the first appearances first. I like going after having all those first appearances. And before recording this video, and before getting this question even, I have a bunch of first appearances for Archie at my stackery. So there's a bunch that are coming in the mail soon, probably in a couple weeks. But those I won't be able to show, but there's a lot that I can show. Okay, so we're going to start out with the first appearance of Archie himself. And he appeared in Pep Comics 22, which I do not have. I'd love to own that book. That's a very expensive book. Goes for about 100,000 plus for that book. It's also, Pep 22 is also the first appearance of Betty. The next character that people kind of think of when they think of Archie is really the lover's triangle, which is Veronica. So Veronica is the dark-haired one, Betty the blonde. You got the best of both worlds, and she appeared in Pep 26. Another character that made appearance in Pep 22 is Jughead. And I obviously don't have any of those books. The next big character is Reggie, another foil, the foil for Archie. He's like always like being annoying to poor Archie. And he appeared in Jackpot number 5. Another big character, and I do have this one, and I have to kind of pull it out one sec here, because I didn't put these in order, which is so smart of me. And I'll just, of course, it's probably in the group. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the next one is the character that appears in this book. This is Jughead number 1. My version is the Canadian variant. There's actually only 3 of these known on the census. And Jughead number 1 is the first appearance of Moose. So one of the bigger characters in the Archie line. So, and then we get into the next big character, which is Sabrina. Now Sabrina is even had a TV series, and she made her first appearance in Madhouse number 22. I think they have something for 22s because Archie appears in Pep 22, while Sabrina appears in Madhouse 22. Sadly, not on the cover. But she's the teenage witch, and she had her own series called Sabrina. So she even had, I think, a cartoon series in the 70s. So that's Sabrina. And the next one is Mr. Lodge, which is Veronica's father. And he's another one that's always, like, he always is like a bit afraid of Archie because Archie's always messing stuff up around him. And he appeared in Pep 31, another book that I do not have. Another major character is Miss Grundy. She appeared in Jackpot number 4. And then we got some newer characters on this list. I just have it, like, this is not really in order of who's the most major characters. But we got, one sec here. The next one I have on my list is Amber Nightshade. So this is Amber Nightshade right there in the corner. And this is her first appearance. Sabrina the Teenage Witch Anniversary Spectacular. So we get to see what Sabrina looks like. And we also get to see what Amber Nightshade looks like. So she's a new character for Archie. And the next character that I have on my list is Ginger Snap. So Ginger Snap is a character that I really like. She had her own comic series called Ginger. And she made her first appearance in Zip Comics, another series that had some Archie appearances in it. And she didn't appear on the cover either. So we got Zip Comics number 35. This is a lot of people chase after this book because it has a Nazi getting punched. So another great reason to get this book. Strangely, CGC does not denote that this is the first appearance of Ginger Snap, but it is. So, and she makes a small appearance in this story, in this book. So that's her first appearance. And the next on my list is Vampironica. So they basically made a, Archie has a tendency of making really fun stories, like they become zombies, or in this case, they become vampires. And they did a story where it's Betty and Veronica, 251. And this is the first appearance of Vampironica, where they kind of mix Veronica and Vampirella. So, and you can see that's very similar style to Vampirella. So Vampironica, and this is her first appearance. This is a kind of a major key, actually, strangely. I really like Vampironica. It's a fun story. It's very, Archie-esque plus vampires, without too much blood involved. The next one is another major character, which is Josie. And we got Josie's first appearance is in Archie's Pals and Gals, number 23. So this is Josie's first appearance. Now, Josie is not on the cover. She makes her first cover appearance in Josie number 1, which I also have, but I didn't bring. But I could have brought it. But I'm sticking with first appearances, or I'd be showing too many books. Josie, she's always known for the rock band that she has, which is Josie and the Pussycats. Well, this is their first appearance. They're not on the cover either. I actually have the cover appearance of them as well. But this is Josie and actually they are on the cover, but very small. That's them right up there, Josie and the Pussycats. So this is the first appearance of Josie and the Pussycats. And this is Josie number 45. And it basically gets renamed after this issue. It was previously named Josie and then switches over to Josie and the Pussycats after this issue. And next on my list is the Archies. And the Archies is kind of like the Beatles, but with the Archie characters. And did I bring it? Oh, actually, I did bring Josie and the Pussycats first cover appearance. Here it is here. I didn't realize I brought it, so I brought it. Okay. And then, so we got the Archies. And this is Life with Archie number 60. And you can see that they're very styled after the Beatles. So the Archies. And there's actually a junior version of the Archies called Little Archies, and they made their first appearance in Little Archie number 42. So this is the junior Archie, Little Archies. So again, they look very similar to the Beatles. And then we got the first appearance of Little Archie, Little Veronica, and Little Betty, which is in Little Archie number 1. And I don't know, I always found these ones kind of cute, so I actually collect Little Archie. So I like it, you know, do not pick the flowers, and he's got all flowers in his hand. Little Archie was actually a pretty good series. So that's Little Archie #1. And next, Mr. Weatherby is another major character for Archie. He appeared in Jackpot #5. I don't have Jackpot #5, another big book. As I said, it's the first appearance of both Mr. Weatherby and Reggie. Next is Trula Twist, and she made her first appearance in Jughead #89. I don't have that book as well. Another book that I don't have, which features the very first openly gay character in Archie, was Kevin Keller, and he made his first appearance in Veronica 202. The next one is Cassie Cloud, and she made her first appearance here. And there you can see her at the top there. So these are all new characters that they brought into the Archie series. So this is Archie Valentine Spectacular #1. That's the first appearance of that character. Another character that is new, like they introduce all these new characters, is Stacy Banks. This is her up here. I think she's sort of a smart character. And that's her up there in the corner, Stacy Banks. And she made her first appearance in Betty and Veronica Friends Forever, Summer Surf Party #1. So, nice cover there. And then we got another new character, which is Eliza Han, and that's her up there. So they're trying to keep, you know, they try to modernize Archie every so often, so they bring all these new characters in to try to keep the comics fresh. So this is Archie and Friends, Summer Loving #1. Oh, actually, I did bring Josie's first cover appearance, and it was in Archie Madhouse. This is Archie Madhouse. I forget what issue number it is, to tell you the truth. Oh, well, it's Archie Madhouse. This is the first cover appearance of Sabrina. So I just brought it. I don't know why I didn't show it earlier. Another little character, little Archie, like little, well, there's little Sabrina the Witch. So that was the first cover, not cover appearance of Josie, but cover appearance of Sabrina, I should say. Cover appearance of Sabrina, sorry, was in Madhouse. But Sabrina the Witch, the little version, this is her up here, appeared in Little Archie 61. So that's Little Archie 61. And you can see her. I don't know. I'm zooming in, so hopefully you can see her. Kind of fun. And I think it even has the first Little Salem, which is her cat. Another kind of major character for Archie is Cheryl Blossom. And that's her right here. Oh, oops, right there. And she makes her first appearance in Betty and Veronica 320. Another major character. And another really big character, again, doesn't make a cover appearance on this one, but it's Katie Keene. So she makes her first appearance in Wilbur #5. And those are all the ones that I have. Now there's some other characters that that I should mention. Hot Dog is kind of like Jughead's dog, but it's also Archie's dog. Originally it was Archie's dog. Well, he appeared in 2 comics like at the same time. He has like, you know, first appearance that was in 2 books. He first appeared in Pep Comics #224, and he also appeared in Betty and Me #18. Those actually I had ordered before doing this video, so those are coming in the mail. The next one is Pure Heart, which is where Archie becomes like a superhero, and he's in Life with Archie #42, and that is it. Those are all the major characters for Archie. So I had a fair number of them. Like it's just a few of those jackpots those are pretty hard books to get, and those early peps are really, really hard to get. So those are the big ones for people who want to collect Archie. Those are all the titles that you need to get if you want to get all those key first appearances. Okay, the next big question comes from K. Munin. Between gold and silver, which would you say has the better stories? What is the most challenging part about having such a massive collection? Okay, so 2 questions. So the first one is between gold and silver. So if you look at a Golden Age book versus Silver Age book versus a Bronze Age versus modern, like where it kind of moves forward, what you'll notice is a Golden Age book takes a lot longer to read than a Silver Age. And a Silver Age takes a lot longer to read than a Bronze Age, and so forth. Because in the Golden Age, they would have a lot more dialogue, a lot more text boxes, and a lot more storytelling as a result. You can really develop the characters a lot more when you have a lot more text. They would still have great images inside, but they would have a lot more text. The worst for that, or well, whether you think it's bad or not, is EC Comics. They really didn't plan out the text boxes. You could see that they wrote a lot of it, and then the artist was like trying to cram in the picture, or maybe the other way around. It's just that a lot of text kind of filling up the pages. And when you do that, though, it kind of detracts from the art. But you can tell, as I said, you can tell a much more of a story, more complicated story, and really develop things. So with that in mind, I would say if you look at the Golden Age stories, they're much more developed. Silver Age has a few weaknesses going for it. One of the things is the Comic Code Authority was in play, so they couldn't really go as dark, or as, they had to be a lot, they were more restricted in terms of what they could do with the story. And whenever artists are restricted, it can be very detrimental to the storytelling. However, I would say, like, if you read like Fantastic Four or early X-Men or Amazing Spider-Man, I mentioned it before, there is some really good storytelling that was done. And that's when you get, like, writers like Stan Lee really showing his skill at telling stories. So with all that being said, it's really up to the style of comic you like to read. Sometimes I personally don't mind a little less text and something that you can breeze through and just enjoy that way. Sometimes it's a bit of a slog trying to read the Golden Age books. It can be a little bit long. I found that if you read Fox publications or Feature Syndicate, a lot of them don't have as much text compared to other Golden Age books, and they can be a little bit more, of a quick read, and they can be kind of extreme. Like, so they didn't have the restrictions of the code, and Fox had a tendency of just being pretty crazy about what they would put in comics. So they could be quite fun and interesting. So again, it's really about preference. I'm kind of gravitating towards the Golden Age personally, because that's where my interests lie right now. But I've enjoyed all the different ages. Okay, so what's the most challenging part about having such a massive collection? Well, there's a few things. Like, when I moved here, that was brutal. That was like one of the worst experiences of my life, just having to bring all my comics to this location. And also the fear of them getting destroyed, and the cost of it. It was brutal. Like, it was expensive moving all this stuff here. Just the moving costs, I think, was over $10,000 just to move everything. So yeah, that was very painful. And then the other big problem with having such a massive collection is storage. Just where do you put it all, and how do you display it all as well? As a collector, I really love seeing my comics. I'm actually thinking of redoing the whole entire back wall behind me because I want to show different books. I want to get more of my collection out and seeing it. So I'm planning to do that at some point, once, probably this weekend. So next Q&A video, you'll see like a whole different background, because I really do like to change it up every so often where I see new stuff. And those are some of the challenges that, how do you display all the comics? How do you manage all the comics? How do you organize all the comics? I am the worst at organizing my books. They're just all over the place. They're very poorly organized. I have, Marvel mixed with DC, mixed with Golden Age, mixed with Silver, mixed with Modern, mixed with multiple titles. It's just all over the place. It's very poorly organized. I got to get organized, but I always seem to... delay that kind of process. It is what it is. So next question comes from Ragman Comics. Why do you think that it happens that certain heroes are well beloved by everyone, Zatanna, Constantine, Spectre, to name a few, but their comics aren't as expensive and they don't get as much attention in the media? So this is one of those kind of questions which answers itself. So the reason Zatanna, Constantine, Spectre don't command as much money is due to the fact that they are loved by the comic community, which is a small segment of people that actually buy comics in a weird way. It's the lack of the fact that they haven't been utilized that much in movies, in TV series, that really hurts their popularity and hurts their ability to command big money for their first appearances. Now, Spectre actually is a pretty expensive first appearance. He's in More Fun Comics 52. That's a pricey book. Constantine's a little bit more affordable. Zatanna has a terrible cover. So those are reasons why all those ones kind of suffer. Constantine, again, he's not even on the cover. And he's not a character that really most people would know. But he is loved within the community, I would say. Those are all DC characters, which is another weakness. DC has been notoriously bad about making movies, whereas Marvel characters are much more mainstream and better known by most people. But I think that there are positive developments that I hear that are happening at DC, and it sounds like they might do something with these characters soon. Like I heard that Keanu Reeves is going to reprise his role as Constantine, which is, I never thought he looked the part, but I actually enjoyed the first Constantine movie. I'd love to see something done with Zatanna. Oh man, that'd be so great. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And Spectre is one of those kind of characters that is really hard to make a live action movie about. I think it would be very challenging to do that. He's much more of an animated style character. I think that, you'd have to use animation. There's certain characters I find that don't really translate to live action, and I feel like he is one of them. So, and those kind of reasons can be actually why they don't get those roles in movies. Like, it is what it is. Like when a character is too awkward to portray, then they don't want to utilize them. It's just sort of like, I think of Swamp Thing is the same way as that, where they really want to do something with Swamp Thing, and it is a character that looks cool in the comics, but translating that to movies is really, really challenging, and it always looks kind of hokey. I actually enjoyed the Swamp Thing series, but it was expensive to produce, and that's what killed it ultimately. The last question comes from Lyle Hobson. How does comic cover swipes increase the value of some comics? So I find that what happens is there are collectors like myself. I like homage covers or cover swipes, and what'll happen is people will chase after those. So typically the book might not be valuable, like in the traditional sense, where there's like a key associated to it or something like that. But people will want to have that book just because it pairs nicely with the original book, or it kind of reminds them of that original book. A good example of that is Detective 31, great cover. I think you mentioned that there's a cover swipe done in Dracula, Tomb of Dracula, for that book. Also, it's been done with the Joker did a homage to it. In a later issue of Batman did an homage to it. So it's one of those covers that is so iconic that collectors will chase after all of those variants or homages to it, or cover swipes of it. And the same goes for like Amazing Spider-Man 300, which was homaged right after that in Amazing Spider-Man 301. Like these iconic covers, people like to have them, so they become instantly collectible for that reason. That people just want to have that, collection of, oh, look at all the different variations of the same cover. So yeah, and I'm one of those people that fall into that, where I have like my crime suspense stories, and I have like 20 different comics that have the same cover, but they're all just variations of that cover. So yeah, so it's really just because it taps into that collector's mentality of, oh, it's cool to have this little set. So that's this video. That was the last question. I hope you enjoyed all the Archie books. Some of these are quite rare. I mean, this Wilbur is a rare book. It's a really great one. Definitely look for that one. First Katie Keene. If you have questions, put them in the comments below. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe being the key. Help me on that. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.